Hey everybody, I was just thinking about how I really need to start doing these live feeds earlier in the day instead of waiting until I'm absolutely exhausted and have done a million other things and I'm all discombobulated and can't have a clear thought. But I mean, at least it goes to show that all the talks that I do are raw and candid and unscripted, as if that wasn't evident already from all the bloopers and the errors. I feel like we could create a segment that's just filled with all of that and just the roundabout monologues. But I appreciate all the people that join me on my artist talks, even sometimes if it's just one, sometimes it's just me sharing my thoughts in the mirror right here. But you can go to CariniArts.com to see my shop, my blog, my podcast. Your support makes what I do possible as a starving artist. So please know that when you support me, you're putting food on the table, paint on the palette. And I do appreciate that. And I do these things for free, as I mentioned before, because I know what it's like to struggle. And I think that art and conversations of art should be accessible to everybody. Not everybody has the money to go to art school, and even if you do, a lot of times people just don't want to share the information or to provide the guidance or the mentorship. And I don't necessarily have the time or the energy or the resources to do mentoring to the level that I would like to because I'm so focused on my studio work. But I feel like being an example with the work that I do by putting it out there, by showing people the totality of my experience and not just the snapshots via social media. Which brings me into our topic for today, and that is the idea of artists having a platform to be a voice for change. And I think that it is absolutely 100% true. I think that it is imperative. And I think that really now is a time where I would love to see other artists step up and do so. Now, for me personally, I use my voice, my platform to share my thoughts, to be a bridge to bring people together. But a lot of my messages aren't overt. And the reason being is that I find that when people are overt in their messages, that's when you run into more obstacles, you get more pushback. Do you like being told what to do? Most people are going to say no. I know that the quickest way to get me to do something is to tell me not to do something. And so when I hear about right and left and this and that, and oh, one side just going at another and then the other one blaming them for this and back and forth, I just think the ridiculousness and the hypocrisy here. And I recognize though that as an artist is that I have this beautiful, wonderful soapbox and platform to bring people together and to connect people in a way that they might not expect. Now, I can say personally that I have people that collect my work from all ends of the spectrum, from all over the world, from people that are ultra conservative to people that are ultra liberal. I have a collector that is transitioning right now, that is transgendered. I have a lot of support from minority groups, from the Hispanic community, from the Black community. I get a lot of love from everybody, and I really appreciate that. And it's one of the things that has helped me through my struggles and really kept me going at the times that I wanted to give up, and realizing that, for a guy that's such a big introvert that doesn't feel like he really is able to connect a lot with the world, there are a lot of people that find the connection to my work and what I do. And maybe it's that they find the connection to the idea of just being lost or trying to navigate life or trying to find solutions or always feeling like you're kicked in, like you're needing to pick yourself up. And I think that that's a valuable thing too, because I think that one of the problems that we have is that a lot of times we have people that are in these positions of authority, and they're people that they talk about struggle, but you can kind of gather that they've never really struggled in certain ways or that they might not understand your experience. And I think that I've had a collection of experiences that I've openly shared, that even if one person or one group can't connect with a single experience, there's probably another one. And by putting everything that I have out there so openly and honestly and candidly, it has really opened up to bringing people in and to connect people, to bring them together. And I think that that is one of the coolest things that we as artists can do that really nobody else can do. Politicians, more than anything, just drive people apart. It's the artists that really bring people together. And as I mentioned, you don't need to do it overtly. So I don't necessarily need to have certain symbols or things blurred across my canvases or be trying to make huge political or religious statements or anything like that. Because as an artist, I find that I'm on this journey of constantly trying to find myself. And so often I can put things out there in such a way that they're not threatening. They're not trying to force anything or push anything down somebody's throat. It's just sharing an idea or sometimes blending different cultures and elements together. And I find that that leads to so much more reception than the way that things are generally presented in the world. And so for the artists out there, you have this platform to be able to do the same. Now, if you want to be more overt in your messages and make a statement, uh, by all means, do so. If you have a platform, certainly use your platform. For me, I try to not take firm stances on a lot of things for the reason being that I don't know everything. I am open-minded and therefore my opinion does change or I feel different ways at different times. And I also recognize that there are a lot of things, probably for me more than most, a lot of things that I do not know because of the limited neurodivergent life that I live. But by sharing my experience as an outsider, I have found that it is something that a lot of people connect to. So even if you don't really know what you want to say, I think that there are things that you can still say and just being honest and vulnerable in the fact that you don't have all the answers. So rather than politicians and people that talk about having all the answers while somebody else is really behind the curtain telling them what to do or pulling the strings or pocketing their putting money in their pocket and getting them to do things strictly for that reason. As artists, we can say anything, we can say everything, maybe even what you're saying is saying nothing, and sometimes saying nothing can say a lot in and of itself. So I think that in times of economic crisis, in times of a pandemic, in times of war, it's really an opportunity for the artists to step forward and to be the leaders, because I think that a lot of times people don't want to lead, they don't want to step to the front because of the weight, the pressure that comes with that. But sometimes being a leader is about stepping forward when you don't really want to, or you don't even have all the answers, but just to step forward and say, hey, look, I'm going to try to guide us at least for a short time. I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. So just being open and candid in that. And it's amazing how many people are looking to be led. And it's not to say that you should firmly try to steer them in any one direction. As I mentioned, for me, it's just about really being a bridge and connecting people, trying to bring people back together that have been pushed into each other aggressively by some of the circumstances, situations, and governing bodies of sorts that are above us. So I'm curious for those of you, if these are things that you dive into, do you see yourself as an artist? Do you see yourself as somebody that has a voice or a platform? Do you use your art to be somebody that creates change? And sometimes I find as an artist that even if you're not having an explicit message, just the act of you being an artist, of you doing what somebody said you couldn't do and putting your work out there and being vulnerable, that's a statement too. So if you feel like you haven't made a statement or you're not making a statement, know that just by being an artist and doing what you do, by creating, by going against the system in that regard, you are making a statement and you are already being, in a sense, a voice for change. So I want to get your thoughts, your opinions, hear what you do. Do you use your art? There are some artists that try to implement techniques or statements that are strongly of an activist nature, and then there are others that go in a different direction. So just curious, wanted to hear your thoughts, your opinions on this and what you're doing. So let's get a dialogue going. So that's one of the things I'm really trying to do here more is to get more people on here. Not necessarily because I need a million people to watch, because look, right now I'm at that many, but that's okay. So sometimes again, part of being a leader is just doing the things that need to be done, even when nobody's watching, even when nobody's paying attention. So even though I have zero people on here right now, I'm still trying to do the things that need to be done, the things that should be done, in the hopes that they will help those that maybe follow me later or stumble upon this maybe in a time where they're struggling. So that is my message for today. That is what I offer you. That is me trying to do my part and to help to support other artists, to support other people, to be a mentor and a guide for other artists to help you find your voice, not necessarily to find my voice or follow my voice, but to help you find your own on your journey. So please check out cariniarts.com. I hope you have a good day. Stay safe, be well, and use your voice for change.